To the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. I am Joe, and I'm your host every Tuesday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock p.m. right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial, and you can also check us out live on WNRI.com, streaming anywhere in the world. You can hear the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. We rebroadcast the show every Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock right here on WNRI. A little about me. I'm a realtor. I'm licensed to work with buyers and sellers in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And I love what I do. I work at a company called RE/MAX Preferred. No one in the world sells more real estate than RE/MAX. No one. I've been there about, I think since 2012, so I've been there over a decade. This is my 12th year doing the Joe Luca Real Estate Show, so I'm very blessed and grateful that we've been on the air that long and we have so many regular listeners every week. Thank you very much for listening. We're real fortunate. I want to do a shout out to a colleague of mine who listens to the show, Samantha Durant. She's with Home Smart Realty, good realtor. She works up in the northern Rhode Island area. Samantha Durant does a great job. Shout out to our sponsors, Compass Title and Escrow. Anthony Betancourt and his team do a great job helping our clients, buyers and sellers of real estate, because they take their time and they educate the consumer. It's not a quick 20-minute closing when you go to Compass Title and Escrow. Everybody there is focused on our client, making sure that they know what they're initialing and understand what they're signing and what the purpose is. They explain everything. That's why Anthony does a great job, and that's what he's known for, giving everyone a good understanding of the whole process. So after you consummate a real estate transaction with Anthony, you won't have any questions, and that's why we love to work with him. Also, we have G Metz Moving and Storage. Check them out, gmetzmoving.com. They're the number one mover in southern New England, whether you're moving from Woonsocket to Westerly or from Rhode Island to Georgia. G Metz can help you out. Even if you're moving furniture from one side of the house to another, or you need to take it out so you can redo the floors, G Metz can help you out. Just go to their website. It's G, M as in Michael, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, Z as in Zebra, moving.com. And you can either book a move or get a price for a move on their website. So please check them out. And then, of course, Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. Vern works for you, the property owner, and he will help you receive, if you have an insurance claim, okay, we've had a lot of wind, a lot of, precipitation. If you think you have a claim on your homeowner's policy, give Vern a call, because he can help you out. Even if the claim was 6 months ago or a year ago, he may be able to help you out. But give him a call, 484-300-8495. Again, 484-300-8495. That's Vern Rainville, Public Insurance Adjuster. He is a Rhode Island guy, even though his phone number doesn't indicate it. He is right here in northern Rhode Island. So give him a call, 484-300-8495. He will get back to you within 24 hours. And that's important when the crazy weather we've had, branches are falling out of trees. A friend of mine, her, shingles are getting blown off of her house. Vern Rainville can help you out, 484-300-8495. So I am a realtor. I help people buy and sell real estate. I have some listings. We've got a great listing in Bellingham. It's on Lake Hiawatha. Small property right on the water. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, small home, single level. That might be a great property for you to check out. Also, we have a house. We actually have a commercial property right on Rathbun Street, and if you have need, if you're like an automotive use, it's a tire repair place now, give me a call, 401-409-5030 for either of those properties. We also have a house, a ranch in Situate, and then we have a cape in North Providence. That's a 4-bedroom cape with 2 bedrooms on the first floor. You can give me a call for that. If you're a buyer, okay, you are contemplating making the transition from a tenant to become a homeowner, give me a call, because I work a lot with buyers too, not just sellers. And my objective, my goal is to have educated buyers and sellers, but buyers especially, because you don't know what you're getting into. And I try to provide lots of information and answer questions that most buyers don't know to ask, but it's nevertheless information that you should be aware of if it's regarding mortgages, if it's regarding valuing properties, location, the difference between a cape and a ranch and a raised ranch or a split level. These are all the types of things we try to provide the answer to those questions. And one of the first things I'll send to my buyers many times is 10 questions you should ask your real estate agent. That's something that was generated by the Department of Business Regulation. So whether you use me or not, you will be more educated about what you can expect or should expect from your real estate agent. Of course, I'm a realtor. I'm a member of the National Association of Realtors, and that is a professional designation. And I have to comply with a code of ethics. In addition to complying with state law, I have to comply with the code of ethics. And I'm very proud that I've done that for my entire career. That being said, Bruce, so one of the things that I do for my clients is I refer them to local, my business partners, if it's lender partners, if it's home inspectors, if it's closing and title attorneys, if it's divorce attorneys, if it's elder care attorneys. I have a cadre of professionals that I refer my clients to. There are alternate electric companies. If there are other services you need, like real estate concierge services, I can help you with that as well. But our special guest tonight is a lender. He works at a company called loanDepot. His name is Justin Maroney. I want to welcome Justin to the show. Hello, Justin. Thanks for coming on the Joe Luca Real Estate Show.
Thanks so much for having me, Joe. Pleasure to be here.
Great. So, you work at loanDepot. Tell our listeners a little bit about the company, yourself, and how you operate and how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So loanDepot has actually been around for quite some time, but it's originated on the West Coast. Mm-hmm. So that brand awareness is still, in full force here, East Coast side of things, especially Rhode Island, New England area. Rhode Island specifically didn't really have a full-size branch. There was a few gentlemen working out of a smaller office, I think Jamestown, Middletown area. But our office in Cranston is the first full-size branch. Believe right now we have about 25 loan officers, a 3 or 4 person management team, processing. Everything's basically in-house.
So your processing is done in-house.
That's great. Correct. Yes, my wife is actually one of the processors.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
That just happened probably about 6 months ago. So
very good.
Exciting times, and yes, we work well together.
Yes, good. Good.
But it's a great company. It's actually the Ferranti Group, Ken Ferranti. It's his office, his team, and we were prior Nations Lending. Mm-hmm. So most of us have been working together now for a handful of years.
Right.
So there's that familiarity there with our process and how we do things. Mm-hmm. And really, I think the biggest takeaway with our company and our office is just that personal feel. Because the things are in house, real office, real people. We can do closings there. We can have people come in. As far as clients, realtor partners. We have an entertainment room downstairs, pool tables, all that stuff to kind of drive in some of the people locally that need a place to stop in. A realtor, work on a deal together, grab a game of pool, something to lighten the mood.
Build up that teamwork.
Exactly.
Camaraderie.
And I really think the biggest difference with our office, and the reason why I really truly love this company, Joe, is just from a management standpoint. Having that 60 plus combined years of experience is huge, especially for a newer loan officer such as myself. A handful of years in the business, coming in, having that level of support is huge. And one of the biggest things I say we do better than most is we've always fully underwritten our pre-approval process. So we really take
that
things.
That is huge. That's hugely significant. Explain what that is to our listeners, and then I'll talk about why that's beneficial.
Yeah, so it's basically the difference of regular pre-approval. You might have your credit run, a few of your documents looked at, and basically just kind of get like a sum of, okay, this is what you should qualify for or could qualify for, and you're kind of taking a chance. As a realtor, when you have that type of pre-approval, you never know which way it's going to go. You really want to have that extra layer of commitment, and what we provide is a fully underwritten pre-approval.
And because the underwriting, that's typically a process that happens later in the transaction.
In the process. Right. Exactly.
So as a realtor, why this is significant and very important is because, especially now, all right, there are more buyers than sellers. So if I present an offer, or an offer as a listing agent is presented to me that I have to bring to my seller, and it comes from someone like Justin, that it's basically already underwritten, that's a really solid, if you want to say bet. There's a very good chance that there are going to be no problems with the pre-approval with the buyer based on the mortgage. That's significant, okay? Because what you don't want to do is, and I've talked about this before, if I have a buyer who comes in and maybe I know the agent, but then, goodness, who is this lender? Do we know anything about him or her? It's kind of a question mark. It's always better to work with someone that's a known quantity like Justin, like his company. The Ferranti Group is very well regarded in real estate circles, and having a product that is and a borrower that's already pre-underwritten, basically, that's really good, because as we talk about in this show every week, surprises when it comes to real estate transactions are not good. And having someone who is, their pre-approval is almost like a pre-underwriting, that reduces the chances of surprises significantly. So the fact that, Justin and the Ferranti Group can do this is very good from my perspective as a real estate professional, because it makes my job talking to my client, the seller, makes my job as a listing agent easier. Okay, and if I'm a buyer's agent and I have one of my buyers who has a pre-approval from Justin, that's also good too, because now I can sell that to the listing agent on the property we're putting an offer in on and say, hey, this is already pre-underwritten. So anything I can do to distinguish my buyer from all of the other buyers who may be submitting offers, or convince them to, even if there are no offers in yet, hey, go with this buyer's offer because this is a really good one. You don't know what you're going to get next. That makes it better for my buyer, and it's better for me, and better for the listing agent and the seller ultimately. Okay, so I don't like to get too in the weeds with this stuff, but having something like that is very important. And the fact is, this is a company. Everybody who works at loanDepot in Cranston, they're all local people. It's not a big institution that, you're going to be talking to a loan officer from St. Louis or Michigan or something like that. Talk a little bit more about that, please, Justin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to your point too, I just had an offer accepted recently that was literally accepted because of my involvement and my company that's behind me.
Yeah, and you are very, just for our listeners, you're very meticulous,
very,
and thorough in what you do. Very, as you said, OCD.
Yes, yeah. Very, and it's a gift and a curse, right? But right, somebody I'm just assassin level. Have been color coding toys and clothes since I was a kid. Yep. So everything with me is fine details. So obviously translating that into the loan officer world where details matter. Yep. There's just nobody out there, I feel, that's going to go into, really dive into things as thoroughly as I do, because I'm just so conscious of every detail. Yeah. And as a former post-closer at a title company for many years, I was the last line of defense. Right. Now I'm the person at the beginning of the process originating the loan. So it's exciting for me because I'm it's my baby, and I get to take everything from start to finish, but I also know every other piece involved, what their responsibilities are, so I can kind of, even if there's a problem, I can fine tune exactly where that problem originates and tackle it because I just know the process. Yep. But speaking of the pre-approval, it's literally a matter of this recent deal I had. An agent actually text the buyer's agent and said, I just want you to know it's because of who you're using for a lender that I accepted your offer. Not to give away all our secrets, but we're also very upfront when offers go in to make sure these agents know what type of deal that they're getting and how strong that offer is coming from the buy side. Yeah. And sometimes, there's so many other people doing this business that unfortunately kind of skip that part. They just send the pre-approval, wash their hands, move on to the next, and just simply picking up that call and having that call with the list agent to give them that extra level of security, knowing that's a secure offer, really goes a long way and touches to your other question, which is having that kind of local presence. We're not a 9-to-5 operation, Joe. So and that's what you get out of a lot of banks and other companies, and having a process that's available around the clock. So 7 days a week. If I have a client that needs to meet me at the office on a Saturday, guess what? I'm getting access to the office so we can meet and have that consult. Right. Pretty much whatever it takes. And that's great too, because you can still
you can meet with people in person because you have a great office, but you guys also have the technology. If someone's like, oh, I'm so busy working 35 different jobs,
Right.
I don't have time to go meet with you in person. How, talk a little bit about the technology services that you guys have.
Yeah, great question. So, I mean, obviously nowadays the big thing is to get in front of them, right? You
Right.
want that face-to-face or the video call or something so you can build that, that bond, and that trust is really what's most important. You want people to know you're genuine and you're obviously out there for their best interest. So having the face-to-face is super important. So we'll always try to push that, whether it's a meet in person or a video call. Worst case scenario, technology. One thing I can say about loanDepot that is 100% is just the technology. They're like the Elon Musk of the mortgage world. These guys have I'm so impressed. I'm a tech guy myself.
Yeah.
This stuff is super important to me, especially today's day and age with all the social media. Having a company that dives in so heavy on the tech side of things to try to always be at the forefront technology-wise is so key, and it's one of the things that absolutely blew me away with this company. So we have one of the fastest pre-approval process out there. It involves basically pulling income, assets, everything off the web from their employers directly. I mean, with the right type of employment, W-2 typically, you're going to be able to pull wages and stuff in a second.
Yep.
And then it's like the data is pulled in from the employer side. Everything is super fast, efficient. I can pre-approve somebody a few minutes after they fill out their application. Of course, granted, it's that type of income. There's not 3 self-employed positions and a bunch of tax returns to go through. And even that, there's technology that's scanning that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk, because, we have a lot of small business people who listen to the show. They're self-employed, and that's a different type of a pre-approval process than the person who, works 40 hours a week, gets a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Right, exactly.
So do you guys have, how do you handle something like that? I think that's more of like, I would imagine, like a hands-on.
More hands-on. I mean, we're definitely more than likely going to use, we're going to do all the work ourselves. The system, it's just nice to have that feature, right? It's not something we're going to use in all instances. Not every instance, you're going to be able to.
Now, are there different products, excuse me for interrupting, different products for the different types of buyers?
Yes. So, option-wise...
It's not like one size fits all.
No, definitely not. Matter of fact, we have over 900 different loan products to offer.
Wow.
So it's pretty wild. And it's funny, too, because a lot of it is just different ways to do a down payment assistance program with conventional or FHA and all the different variations and things. So, yes, it's funny when I say that number because people are like, what do you mean, right? But at the end of the...
Look, I've been in the business a long time. I always say that mortgages are like a car, and that if you're going to buy a car, okay, you're going to buy a Ford. Okay, is it a pickup? Is it an SUV? Is it a sedan? Okay, and then which model within those, and then which trim package within those. And if the list can be so long. And okay, that's your trim level. And then what is it? Front wheel drive? Is it all wheel drive? Is it rear? There are so many different mortgages are the same way. But I didn't think that it was 900.
Yeah,
that's huge. So you guys, that's really amazing, because what that means, just for our listeners, is that there is probably, if you're a very particular kind of a buyer, they probably have a product for you. If you go to one of these big institutional banks, maybe they've got 2 or 3 different mortgage products, and they'll just say, Mr. Jones, you don't qualify for a mortgage. They're not, but loanDepot, Justin, they may have 45 different mortgages that you could qualify for. So that's why it's extremely important to work with a lender who has more to offer than standard fare. And then something else I always like to point out is, loan officers, they're like us realtors, as real estate professionals, in that, if we do not produce, we do not bring home a paycheck. We don't get a pay every 2 weeks automatically. We have to produce on a regular basis. We have to convince people to work with us, do a good job so we can get deals to close, so we can be compensated. And communication is a very important part of that. And that's one of the great things that with Justin, and I've heard this from other real estate professionals, other professionals in the real estate world, what a good job Justin does. It's not just Joe Luca talking here, and so I want to just talk a little bit about that too, please, Justin. And,
Absolutely.
How you have that. It's like, oh, maybe we can find this one for you.
So I'm just, having that technology behind me, having all those loan products is awesome. It's basically, having all the world of tools behind me, and then having the layer of support, management, in-house, everything just really kind of, puts me on like a dream team scenario. So I'm all about it and I love it already. But then you take a client that maybe needs down payment assistance. Maybe, we're the number one lender in the country for first-time buyers. And it's simply because of all the different programs we have, the partnerships, whether it be Rhode Island Housing, Mass Housing, all these other companies that we do business with. So we just get a lot of exposure because it's such a large-scale company, and all the different broker products. Then you have lenders that don't do a ton of business with their products, so they use us as leverage to gain that kind of traction for some of their niche products. Okay. And maybe it's a bank statement program or something with for I-10 loans or something. There's just all these different scenarios.
Okay, so what's a bank statement loan? What's an I-10 loan? Explain that to our listeners.
So basically, that's a great question, Joe. Bank statement is one where you would simply qualify based on, say for instance, 2 years of your average balance of your accounts. They're going to dive into your bank statements and see what your cash flow looks like. Maybe for somebody that's self-employed that just has a lot of cash coming in and out of their their banks, and that's basically the primary income that they have to use. You're not going to be able to use pay stubs or tax returns in some of these cases. So that could be a good program for an investor that just has a ton of cash flow in and out of bank accounts. And if we can average that all out, that's what's used for income to basically allow him to purchase, based on that. I-10 would be a situation with somebody that's not a citizen of the country yet, still working and going through all the paperwork and the process of that. There's programs for those people too. A lot of them have, stipulations and requirements for more money down. Everything in the mortgage business is risk related, as you know.
Yep.
So, there's all these parameters and stuff to obviously qualifying for each of these programs. But the real important part is just having them, having the options, so I don't have to push the client off elsewhere to somebody else. As much as I love some of my other referral partners, I want to obviously help as many people as I can personally.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. So that's great because, my listeners may be aware that I'm on the board of directors of the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, Providence chapter. And, I'm going to have some of my fellow board members on, our president and president-elect at some point, because I love them. They're great. But, obviously we're very sensitive to that population, folks who either are citizens but came here as they weren't born here and they had to work their way in, or they're in the process of doing that now, but they want to become a homeowner. I have I can't say a client yet, but someone who is actively looking, that's his situation, and we want to try and get these people, make it as easy for them as possible so they can become a homeowner, because there's nothing, as a real estate professional, there's nothing more rewarding than having a closing with some folks who are new to this country. They've been here 5 or 10 years and they're buying a home. I don't care what the old country was. If it was in South America, Central America, Asia, Africa, Europe, they never would have been able to buy a house in the old country as easily as here. You can come here, you can work hard, save your money, establish credit, and if you don't know how to do that, that's why I tell people it's never too early to start the process of buying a home. So if you want to do it and it's two years off, great, let's start working together. Have that conversation. I'll hook you up with Justin. You could start to develop. He can get you all prepared to qualify for a mortgage. I can get you prepared and educated to understand the process of buying a home and what you should be looking for based on your wants, your needs, your purchase price range, and your timing. A lot of times I get people who they're interested and I call them up they after they visit one of my websites and I say, hey, I want to help. Oh no, I'm just starting to look. I don't want to buy a home yet. Great. That's perfect. Let's start early, so that if you're going to be ready to buy in 6 months or 12 months, you will be well informed, well educated, and you will have had time to improve your credit. Because even if you have good credit, if you have better credit, you're going to get a lower interest rate on that mortgage, which means you're going to be paying out less money every month for that same house, whatever the interest rates are. Right. Isn't that true, Justin?
Oh, 100%. And it's one of those things where it's like, you have a situation where it's really about getting that purchase roadmap together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's at the end of the day, because some of these, some people are a couple of months away from their purchase goal. It might be a year or two from now.
Right.
But the most important thing you could do is get that roadmap together, because even if it's painting a picture for a year from now,
mm-hmm.
at least now you have steps to follow. You have something that's going to help you, much better chances here of accomplishing that goal of buying that house when it's, hey, Justin, I did everything you said. Credit's where it needs to be. I saved this much. We're good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than just that cold call. They see that property. Usually it's something online piques the interest.
Mm-hmm.
They get all excited, and then you get that bad news like, oh, you guys need to do 2 months of credit repair first, or and obviously you don't want to get that news when you get that news. So
mm-hmm.
better to be prepared. Get it out of the way ahead of time. The best part is, Joe, it's a soft pull to credit at my company.
Yep.
So there's no hard inquiry done for pre-approval purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't even happen until the loan is under contract. So it's a situation where there's no harm, no foul. You're not losing anything. There's no cost.
Yep.
So it's basically, there's nothing to lose. You might as well get that map together and see what that looks like. You know?
I'll tell you, that's pretty significant too, that when they come to you and they say, hey, I want to buy a house, and you do a soft pull on their credit, and you don't do the hard pull until we have a house under contract. Okay, so that's because a lot of times people are worried, if they're gonna pull my credit's gonna go down. If they do a soft pull, you don't have to worry about that.
Right.
And they can do a soft pull and say, hey, listen, you can probably give them some pointers while we're looking for homes that, okay, pay off that old whatever, or, something like that. Is that true?
Absolutely. Yeah. You're going to give them tips of things they can do to get, better pricing and things along the way while they're under contract. Just anything that's going to help them, obviously, get them the best deal possible. That's always my goal.
Yep.
As you know, Joe, so much has changed in our industry, but, we're not incentivized to buy product anymore. Mm-hmm. It's a situation where, I'm getting paid based on loan amount, and that deal has to close.
Yep.
So I'm not swimming in pools, taking vacations, doing any of that stuff until my clients' goals are met.
Yep.
We're at that closing table and that deal closes successfully and everybody's happy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Folks, you've been listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 on the AM dial, and also on WNRI.com. We are streaming. I'm Joe, your host. I work at RE/MAX Preferred. Quick shout out to our sponsors, Compass Title and Escrow. Anthony Betancourt and his team do a fantastic job preparing our clients for the real estate closing, whether it's a buyer or a seller, and they take the time to explain, to educate our clients what's going on, what they're initialing, what they're signing. Also, Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster. He is licensed by the state of Rhode Island, and he works for you, the property owner, not the insurance company. So you don't have to worry that he's going to go and say, oh, no, tell this to the insurance company. He was going to help you try and receive as much money, as much compensation that you are deserved to based on your insurance policy, okay? Because the insurance company, when they send their adjuster, they want to pay you the bare minimum that they're obligated to, whereas Vern will look at the situation so that you can receive the maximum that you're entitled to. Because, folks, it doesn't matter, if you have a claim, you have a claim, and your premium is probably going to be going up. So you should try to get as much as you are entitled to as possible. And that's why you would want to call Vern Rainville, public insurance adjuster, 484-300-8495. That's 484-300-8495. And of course, G-Met's Moving and Storage, best move you'll ever make, whether you're moving from Woonsocket to Westerly or Rhode Island to Georgia. GMetsMoving.com. Check them out. You can get a price for a move or schedule the move at gmetsmoving.com. And of course, tonight we have our special guest, Justin Maroney from loanDepot. He's been explaining to us the things that make his company and him different than other lenders. There are a lot of great lenders out there, and they all have their, forte, things that they're good at. Justin is very meticulous and thorough in what he does, and they have over 900 different loan products to try and fit you into. So if you're you're the standard run-of-the-mill buyer, that's easy peasy. You won't have to go looking through the files to find a loan product for you. But if you're self-employed or you have a couple of different jobs, things like that, he may have a loan that fits your situation, so you don't have to receive that dreaded news that, you don't qualify for a mortgage, because there are, as we know, hundreds of types of different mortgages. So what are some examples, Justin, of people who may need one of those, 900 different types of mortgages that are out, they're not run-of-the-mill mortgages?
Right, great question. So another one of the the highlights for my company is renovation loans. So, and as you could imagine, Joe, with us living in New England, it's the oldest part of the country. There's tons of renovation opportunity here, and it's not a product that gets a lot of traction because most realtors, just like unfortunately similar with VA financing, they look at it, this one could be tough, or the inspection, the this, the that. Really, it's just a misunderstanding, because if you have the right team behind you with a product, say for instance like renovation loans, 203, the home style for conventional, there's lots of value there if you have the right team behind you, because usually what slows that product down for somebody is the time for the HUD consultant, the contractors to get those bids together. Whereas if you have a company that has a team of people dedicated to that process and speeding everything up there, that takes, obviously, it's a huge difference. So one of the things loanDepot has done is created these teams, whether it be a team for condo approvals, which is another thing that can sometimes take often, a little, some time. You have HOA people that manage these things. They're usually part-timers. They have a regular full-time job, and then they manage the HOA as a part-time duty. Right. So they're not you can't reach them half the time. So having teams to kind of nip some of those pain points that are pretty common is super key. And so having that renovation team, having that condo team, those are two areas where a lot of other places would struggle with getting it approved and all this. We're jumping into that stuff right away. Really, the goal is to just anything that could break the deal. We want to get that out of the way as soon as possible. Right.
Now, you mentioned condos. What are some challenges that a condo buyer may encounter?
So you might have a situation where, depending on how much they're putting down, for instance, again, it's a risk situation. If they're putting down less than 10%, it's a full condo review, where they're going to dive into things a bit more than they would if you put down more than 10%. It could be a non-warrantable condo, which a lot of people struggle with.
Explain what that is.
So basically, it's a condo unit that doesn't meet the requirements per Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, whoever the loan is through. That's going to basically dictate that the condo have this much insurance coverage. It's basically a whole slew of things in the condo docs that it has to meet requirement wise. And if it doesn't have the proper insurance coverages, if it's the way it's assessed is weird, whatever, there's all these different variables that come in. But realistically, the condo just has to meet those guidelines. And if it doesn't, it's considered non-warrantable. Now you're in a situation where you might just have an old apartment building that was converted, and they used to be apartments and now they're calling them condos. Those can be tough sometimes, especially if that renter to owner ratio is more heavy on the renter side. So there's just certain little things that come in, like with condos that can really obviously throw some wrenches in the deal. So to be able to just kind of navigate all those areas and get through all that stuff up front is what we specialize in.
Okay. Now, what about if someone is an investor? Do you have amongst those 900 loan products you have, do you have programs for investors?
Absolutely. So it's called a DSCR loan, and it's basically it's similar to a bank statement situation where it's not using traditional income. It's looking at the investors, what they're making for income on their other properties.
Yep.
So and then using that income as their cash flow to qualify the new investment property. So very important, obviously, having those different options out there, especially in today's world. And that's another nice product that we offer. There's multiple different versions to those products, and of course a lot of it is on the broker side, so some of it might not be in-house our product, but it might be a top company that brokers with us, so we're able to then offer those products, and you still have similar to our process, because we're kind of holding your hand and guiding you through everything, while this other lender obviously helps on the backside to accomplish the same goal.
Right. All right, so that's good to know. So DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. I have heard of those. Of course, many of you who know me, I did commercial real estate for many years before I started. I did that exclusively before I ventured over to the residential side. So debt service coverage loans are great products, for that type of a purchaser. And that could, now is that limited to by the certain number of units? Like if I'm an investor buying a condo, can you use something like that for that, or is it more for multiple units, which is what I thought?
I mean, it's going to be a property that usually cash flows, that has some type of rental or investment property. And with those loans too, it's not a first time. You're not going to, if you're buying your first investment property, that's not going to be the option for you. You're going to just purchase normal. Obviously, that would be for down the road once you have those couple rental properties giving that income, because that's the income you're qualifying with.
Okay. All right, excellent. Folks, once again, you are listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show right here on WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 AM, and on WNRI.com. We are streaming. And we're talking with Justin Maroney from loanDepot about many different mortgage products that they have to offer. I want to talk a little bit now interest rates. So interest rates, everybody is, been all anxious about, interest rates are high. And now, the historical average for a 30-year mortgage is 8%. We're well off from that. But rates are higher. So, I always go to my trusty every week Mortgage News Daily, and I just grab rates from there, because the rates that any given buyer may receive from Justin or from Mortgage News Daily may be two totally different rates, even if it's the same product, because different companies have different ways of, calculating and pricing their mortgage interest rates and points and things like that. So talk a little bit. I think you guys have a rate that's actually lower than the 7.02 on Mortgage News Daily today, right? I think you're on the high sixes.
I believe so, and it's just really what it comes down to is Joe, is you have the Fed rate, and then you have mortgage rates, and often people, when they go online and they look these things up, they're looking at the Fed rate, so they're not factoring in a bank or a lender is now giving you this loan. They have to also make money, of course, to stay in business, to be able to offer all these products. So it really comes down to a servicing standpoint. They're not going to be, every lender, I think, locally in anybody's area is going to be pretty competitively priced. Right? They're not going to be way off over here and much higher over here usually. And it really just comes down to service and what you have for overhead, staff, all those things matter. I won't name names, but there's the online lenders of the world that are usually super cheap.
You read my mind.
But you're getting what you pay for.
Well, but, and I have this thing, excuse me for interrupting, but the bottom line is the bottom line, okay? And some of these big national lenders, what they can do is they will give you this low ball rate. Yeah, you're going to get a low interest rate that's a half a point lower than everybody else. But then, elsewhere in that loan, there are other fees, service fees, and charges for this and charges for that you're paying for because they need to make their money. So, okay, maybe they're going to give you a little bit, of a break on the actual interest rate of the loan, but you're going to be paying elsewhere. And a lot of times those fees, you don't see them because they're worked into the loan. And, it's just kind of like sleight of hand. And you don't see this until you get the disclosure document, which is for, sometimes less, but usually a couple of days before closing. And at that point, it's too late to back out of the transaction or get a new lender on board, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too where it's like, there's a lot of competition, right? So everybody's trying to win and be the best. And we all can't be the best. It's just every single lender, company out there, bank, what have you, is going to be unique per situation. It's all situational.
Yeah.
It's all comes down to the person, what they're looking for. If you're buying the biggest purchase you're probably going to make in your lifetime. Do you want to bargain shop and take a chance on service, closing on time, all of these things, having no communication, nobody really knows what's going on because a robot's controlling everything?
Right.
Or do you want that person that's 7 days a week looking out for you, making sure service stays on track, and you have in-house processing and underwriters, and these are actual people that are doing the job. And no matter how advanced technology gets, Joe, I don't feel we'll ever be in a situation where that personal touch isn't needed here, because I don't know about you, but if I'm making a major purchase like that, I want to know that a human being's got my back.
Yeah.
Somebody that is caring, that is genuine, is not just calculating things off of a computer system and spitting out an answer to you. You want that personable touch. So for me, it's super important. To obviously work with the individual and work with the company that's giving you all of those things. You want to have that trust, that genuine feel of this person has my best interest in mind.
Yeah.
And then have that person take you to the finish line. You just simply don't know what you're going to get from that cheaper online lender that looks like it's the best deal you're ever going to see in your world, but at what cost?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, folks. I mean, it is situational, and it's important to be comfortable with the person you're working with, okay? Whether it's the realtor or the lender. If you're working with someone who's a voice on a phone halfway across the country, I always say this too, when you're working with someone in St. Louis or in Lansing, Michigan, they close your loan, they get paid at the end of the week. They're not spending money in Rhode Island, okay? They're going out to restaurants in that part of the country. They're buying clothes in that part of the country. They're buying a car in that part. They're sponsoring sports teams in that part. Not here. They're not helping us out, okay? When you're working with a local lender, a local loan officer like Justin Maroney at loanDepot and the whole team on the Ferranti Group, they go out to eat here. They're going to meet after work, have a couple of drinks at a local tavern. They're going to buy clothes near here. They're going to buy a car here in southern New England. That's what you want. People that give back, sponsoring a team, going to art events, whatever it is. The money is spent here locally, and that's very significant because, if we all start doing it's bad enough that myself included, buying stuff on Amazon. Who knows where that money is going? For big things, try to work with people that are local, because you're going to get better service, and your dollars are going to stay here. The process when people buy a home, you put the offer in, you're working with a realtor, you've got the closing, your home inspector, you've got the closing attorney, you've got the lender. Okay, then after you close, then you're going to work with, if it needs repairs, you're going to hire a contractor, landscaper, go to Home Depot, you're going to, spend your money, hopefully a local, hardware store too. You're going to spend your money locally. After you move in, then if you're going to buy furniture, buy it locally. Don't buy it online, which I don't know if anyone could buy anything online like that. But nevertheless, you want to try and do as much locally as possible, because you have better service. And if something pops up that's problematic, you stand a better chance of having it resolved when you're working with someone local than when you're talking with someone across the country and your only option is to send emails and leave voice messages. That gets very frustrating when you're having a problem. Whereas you call Justin up, he can get on the phone with underwriting or with whomever it is processing, get the answer. Even if it's after the closing, Justin, where do I send my mortgage payment in? And I didn't get my coupon book. Justin will get the answer for you. Okay? And if Justin is out of town by chance, there are other people there who will cover for him so that you can receive the service and the information and the help that you need, because this can be stressful. You're dealing with large sums of money. You're dealing with a residence, a place that you sleep in every night. And when you don't get answers, it can be, really frustrating and nerve-wracking and make people experience anxiety, which we don't want to do that. It's challenging enough. Isn't that true, Justin?
100%. And that's one of the biggest things I think that I pride myself on, as well as the company, is we're really just trying to make this as smooth of a process for people as possible. This can be a really stressful, daunting task for people if they have the wrong team behind them. So, as we say all the time in our business, having that solid team behind you is really what makes a difference. Having the realtor and a lender that are working together cohesively to help you accomplish your goals and get you to the finish line as smoothly as possible, that's what everybody wants. I can't tell you, Joe, how many realtors I've interviewed and I ask them what's most important to them. At the end of this process, what's most important to you? It's a smooth process and smooth communication, almost 100-something%. It's almost across the board unanimous. So, at the end of the day, that's what the clients are looking for too, mostly, is they want to know that it's not going to be this long, stressful, crazy process for them. And having all that communication strong throughout the process is what really gets them there. And then just, providing that, the service that they're looking for, the products that they need, all of that obviously plays a part too, but really showing them at the end of the day, when they're at the closing table, what they remember is that experience. And was it a bad one? Was it a good one? My goal is to always make it a good one, and to have nothing but 5-star reviews, you name it, across the board for everyone involved, because me and my team are putting that work in. Of course, I'm expecting that same work from everybody else that's involved, and it's really just a matter of delivering that as consistently across the board as you can.
Exactly. Folks, that's what it's all about. It's a big part of the process is the communication, and I try to have just open communication with the lenders, with my clients. As I said, I try to educate my clients, and I always try to impress upon them, if you have a question, if there's something you don't understand, ask me. If I don't have the answer, I'll get the answer. If you forget the answer, ask me again, because it's a two-way communication, conduit. I mean, I can provide you with communication and information, but if you don't say, Joe, I don't understand this exclusive buyer agreement, I don't understand this listing agreement, I don't understand this relationship disclosure form, what does this mean? What is that? Why do I have to sign it? If you have questions or concerns, and you convey those to me, you express those to me, I can answer them. But it's a two-way street. Like, I can say, okay, this is what you need to do, this is why we're doing it. If you don't understand that as a consumer, as my client, it's important that you let me know. And that's why I tell everybody, there are no stupid questions. I'll answer any question that you ask, and if you forget the answer, ask again, because I don't want you to go forward and be too timid. Oh, I already asked him, I can't ask him that question again. I asked 3 stupid questions today. There's no allotment. You can ask me 333 stupid questions, because there are no stupid questions. There are no stupid questions. That's what I try to do. And do you have clients, or have you had that situation before? Now, even when you were on the closing and title side in another life, have you had clients that they're and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they're clueless about some part of the process?
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, because one of the things we're trained in this business is dumb it down. One of the biggest mistakes you can make coming into this, fresh, brand new, is the product knowledge and learning all the various different products, and then really just on every single call with every single person you talk to, you're trying to deliver on the fact that you understand those products and you know them in and out. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean nothing, because to the person on the other side, you could know all 700 products you offer in and out, but it doesn't mean they understand them. So it's really just about simplifying things in a way to make it so the consumer can understand everything that they're getting into, understand everything they're signing, and it's really just, you break it down. You have to, whether there's somebody that's on their 5th or 6th, home purchase, or somebody that's doing it for the first time, I find it very important to just simplify things. You don't have to, go into all the crazy abbreviations, and they're not gonna. That stuff's gonna go over their head most of the time. So you just dumb it down. You keep it simple as much as you can, and it's just delivering clear. It's being able to articulate, right? You just have to be able to articulate clearly to people so they understand what you're telling them.
Excellent. Now, we were talking before we came on air, and we were talking about little kind of nickname things. And you mentioned earlier how you've always organized your toys from when you were a kid, but you were also a fan of Star Wars.
Yes.
And I think a lot of us today were kind of nerdy about certain things. Like I'm a I Star Wars. I liked Lord of the Rings. I liked Harry Potter, all that stuff. I'm kind of a dork. I mean, I don't dress up like them, but I really like that stuff, and I can't, I can watch them 100 times and I still enjoy them. But you have a nickname that's based on your fandom of Star Wars and the fact that you are a loan officer. So what is that? Share that with our listeners.
So funny you asked, Joe. So it's funny part about this business. When I first got in, as I was telling you earlier, I noticed some nicknames going around.
Yep.
I didn't want to play along at first because I'm like, do I have to? But then I'm just getting creative. And some of the shout outs, by the way, to some of the local loan officers really doing big things locally for years now. A lot of them been an inspiration to me. So shout out to those guys. Can't mention names, of course, but you know who you are.
Right.
You're definitely an inspiration. But one of the funny things that I came up with was Obi Loan Maroney, which is a play on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it is I am the lender you're looking for.
Yeah.
So
excellent.
the Obi Loan thing stuck. I'm actually on Instagram by that name.
Oh yeah, cool.
You can look me up at Obi Loan Maroney, but that's what it stands for. And really, it's just whether it's precision, excellence in service and communication, all these things. It's just me.
Yeah.
It's just fitting. Lightsabers cut with precision. I'm gonna close your deal with precision. So at the end of the day, it's just a fun little play.
Yeah.
If it goes and it picks up and it gains traction, then awesome. Obi Loan it is. But
there you go.
It's just a little fun, Joe.
Good. So now, if someone wanted to reach you, if you could just tell them, phone, email, socials, whatever, what would be the best way to reach you?
Best way is definitely cell phone. That is 401-626-2604. And the best other additional ways, of course, you have email, jmaroney, Maroney, at loandepot.com. I'm also on Instagram as Obi Loan Maroney. I am on Facebook as my name, Justin Maroney, and also on LinkedIn as Justin Maroney as well. But I would say email, text is usually going to be best.
Yep. Okay. And that phone number again?
Is 401-626-2604.
Excellent. So, folks, we've been listening to the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. We've had as our special guest this week Justin Maroney from loanDepot, the Ferranti Group at loanDepot. Their offices are right here in Cranston, Rhode Island. They've got a super nice place, if you want to go down and check them out when you have a loan in process, and you can reach out to Justin. But they can also do things if you're too busy. You've got the kids, you've got work and everything. They have, technology resources, so you don't have to get in the car and drive all the time, okay? So I want to thank Justin for coming on the Joe Luca Real Estate Show. If you have any real estate needs, questions, please reach out to me, 401-409-5030. It's Joe Luca, Luca. I work at RE/MAX Preferred, 401-409-5030. I've got some great listings, always looking for more listings. If you know anyone who has a home that they're looking to sell, or maybe they're going to be moving out of, give me a call, 401-409-5030. And I will be more than happy to answer any questions you have about anything regarding the real estate process. So we will be back next week right here, same bat time, same bat channel, WNRI 99.9 FM, 1380 AM, streaming at WNRI.com. And you can also listen to us Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. right here on WNRI. So please stay tuned. Check Justin Maroney out online, and you can also look for me as well. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.